The story begins on a quiet evening in a small studio room, the kind of place where soft lights fall across a wooden table and the world seems to shrink until only one voice matters. The narrator speaks slowly, as if afraid to disturb something delicate that hangs in the air. They say that sometimes the truth arrives not with noise, but with a small tremor inside the heart, a tremor that grows until it becomes impossible to ignore. And on this evening, that tremor belongs to Sandra Bullock. For many years, she has lived with a quiet secret, a truth she once thought she would take with her forever. But the weight of carrying it has grown heavy, too heavy, and she knows it is time to speak it. What she does not expect, what she cannot predict, is how Keanu Reeves will respond when he hears what she has to say. She fears it may change everything between them. She fears it may change the way they see each other and maybe even themselves. But before she tells the truth, Sandra sits alone, remembering how everything began. She thinks back to the first time she met him. She remembers the warmth of his smile, the gentle way he spoke, the way he made everyone feel safe without even trying. He had this rare kind of kindness that felt almost unreal, as if he carried a light inside him that never dimmed. Even then, she felt something shift inside her, something she tried her best to ignore because it scared her. She was not used to that kind of feeling. She was used to control, used to building walls around herself, used to pretending she had everything figured out. But with him, those walls cracked the moment he looked at her with that quiet understanding he always had. She remembers the energy on set, how hectic and loud everything was. Cameras rolling, people running, directors shouting, and yet somehow in the middle of all that chaos, he moved with calm. It was like he had his own rhythm, slow and steady, and anyone who came near him found themselves falling into that rhythm too. She remembers watching him during breaks, how he would listen carefully to people, never interrupting, never acting like he was in a hurry. He treated everyone the same, no matter who they were or what their job was. He had this deep respect for people that was so natural it almost surprised her. She had seen actors who carried their fame like a shield, but he carried his like a responsibility. And that was when she realized the difference. He did not want to be admired. He wanted to be kind. There were moments between them that she still cannot fully explain. Little glances shared when no one else was watching. Small conversations that felt bigger than they seemed. Sometimes she would catch him looking at her with a softness that made her breath stop for a second, and she wondered if he felt something too. But neither of them spoke about it. Neither of them dared to name the thing that seemed to grow quietly between them. They had work to do. They were professionals. They had reputations to protect. And maybe the fear of ruining a good friendship kept them silent, even when silence felt like its own kind of pain. One afternoon, she remembers sitting with him in a tiny corner of the set where the light filtered through dusty windows. They talked about normal things at first, small things, nothing special. But then the conversation shifted. He asked her if she ever felt scared, not the kind of fear that came from danger, but the kind that came from the possibility of something real. She did not know how to answer at first. She felt a tightening in her chest, a strange mix of excitement and dread. She looked at him, saw the sincerity in his eyes, and said yes. She said she felt scared all the time, and he nodded like he understood exactly what she meant. He did not tease her or make her feel weak. He just said that sometimes fear is a sign that something matters. She remembers the way her heart reacted to those words. It was the kind of sentence you carry with you for years. But even with all these memories filling her mind, Sandra still hesitates as she prepares to reveal the truth. She walks back and forth in her studio room, feeling the weight of every step. She is afraid of how people will see her when they hear what she has kept buried for so long. She is afraid of how he will see her. She knows that once she says the words out loud, there is no taking them back. There is no pretending it never happened. There is only moving forward, whatever that might look like. She thinks about the choices she has made, the things she said back then and the things she left unsaid. She thinks about the night when everything inside her felt too big to hide, when she came close to telling him what she really felt. They had wrapped filming for the day, and she was exhausted in the kind of way that makes your heart feel fragile. He had walked her to her car, the night air cool around them, the world unusually quiet. She wanted to speak. She wanted to let the truth spill out of her chest before she lost the courage. But when she looked at him, she saw how gentle he was, how patient, how unaware he seemed of the storm inside her. And she could not do it. She could not risk changing the balance between them, could not risk breaking something that already meant so much to her. So she kept it inside. Years passed. Life happened in ways she did not expect. Sometimes they drifted apart, sometimes they crossed paths again. Every time she saw him, she felt that familiar warmth return. He always brought the same kindness with him, the same steady presence. But she also felt a sting of something else, something like regret, something like a quiet ache. She knew she had missed a moment, maybe more than one. Now, after all these years, something has changed. Maybe it is age. Maybe it is the way life reminds you that time is limited, that chances do not wait forever. Maybe it is the loss she has experienced, the kind that shakes your world until you see it differently. Maybe it is simply that the truth has been knocking on her heart for too long and she can no longer pretend she does not hear it. Whatever the reason, Sandra knows she must speak. She must. She owes it to herself, and maybe she owes it to him too. As she prepares to go public with her confession, she feels a new fear rising. It is not just fear of embarrassment or judgment. It is fear of changing the story between them. She wonders how he will react when he hears it, wonders if he will smile or stay silent or walk away. She wonders if he felt something too, if he ever thought about her the way she thought about him. She wonders if there were moments he held back because he did not want to disrupt their friendship either. She wonders about the paths not taken, the conversations that almost happened, the possibility of something that could have been but never was. The more she thinks, the more her heartbeat quickens. She sits down, takes a deep breath, and begins to write the words she will share with the world. But even as she writes, she feels a tremble in her hands. This truth will not be easy. It will expose her heart in ways she has never allowed before. What she does not know is that Keanu has already sensed something coming. He has always been intuitive, always able to read the subtle shifts in people. He has felt a quiet tension in the air, the kind that signals change. And deep inside him, buried beneath years of restraint, there is a feeling he has never named out loud either, a feeling he once convinced himself to forget. And so the world waits, unaware that a single confession is about to bring together years of unspoken emotion, unanswered questions, and unresolved longing. The truth she reveals will not only surprise her fans, but will force Keanu to face something he thought he had left behind long ago. And just as she is about to record her message, just as she lifts the microphone and opens her mouth to speak, her phone lights up with his name. She freezes, because he is calling her, and she knows in that instant that whatever he is about to say might change everything. When the phone begins to ring, Sandra feels her breath catch in her throat. It is strange how a simple sound, something as ordinary as a ringtone, can suddenly feel like the loudest thing in the world. She stares at the screen, watching his name glow softly in the dark room. Keanu Reeves. She whispers it under her breath, almost like she is afraid to disturb the moment. She had not expected this. She had not prepared her heart for it. She had been ready to speak her truth to the world, ready to step into the unknown, but she had not been ready to face him first. For a few seconds, she does nothing. She just sits there, frozen, with her fingers hovering over the phone. She feels like she is suspended between two futures, one where she answers and one where she lets it ring into silence. Both choices terrify her for different reasons. If she answers, he may hear the tremble in her voice, may sense the truth hiding behind her words before she is ready. If she doesn't answer, she may lose the moment, lose whatever reason made him call her right now, at the very hour she was preparing to reveal everything. The ringing continues, slow, steady, almost patient. It sounds like him, she thinks. Even his ringtone seems calm, like it refuses to rush her. Finally, she slides her thumb across the screen. "Hello," she says, and she hears her own voice shake just a little. There is a pause, a soft breath. Then his voice drifts through the speaker, warm and gentle, the kind of voice that carries comfort even in the quietest tone. "Sandra," he says, and her heart tightens. "I hope I'm not calling too late." "No," she replies quickly, too quickly. She clears her throat and tries again. "No, it's okay. I was awake." Another pause. She imagines him somewhere far away, maybe sitting on his couch or walking through his kitchen, holding the phone loosely, talking the way he always does with that natural softness. She wonders if he is feeling nervous too. She hopes he is, because then she won't feel so alone in this moment. "I've been thinking about you," he says quietly, "for a few days now." His words send a ripple through her chest. She leans back in her chair, closing her eyes. She has waited years to hear something even close to that, and now that it is happening, she finds herself struggling to breathe. "Oh," she manages, trying to sound casual, though every part of her feels anything but calm. "Is everything okay?" Another soft breath from his side, as if he is choosing his words carefully. "I don't know," he admits. "I just felt like something was happening with you, or maybe I'm imagining it. I don't know. I just had this feeling that you needed someone to talk to." Her hands tighten around the edge of the table. He has always been like this, always able to sense what people kept hidden. He has a way of seeing through the surface without making you feel exposed. She wonders if he somehow knows what she was about to do, if he feels the weight of the truth pressing against her even from miles away. She opens her mouth, ready to confess, ready to let the truth spill out of her before she loses her courage again. But then he speaks first. "I miss you," he says softly, and she feels the world shift beneath her. "I know we don't talk as much as we used to, but I miss the way things were. I miss the quiet conversations. I miss knowing you were doing okay." Her heart beats wildly, almost painfully. She grips her phone tighter. "I miss you too," she whispers, because holding back now feels impossible. The silence that follows is heavy but not uncomfortable. It is filled with something else, something like old memories stirring between them. She feels warmth spread through her chest at the simple truth of it. They have drifted apart over the years, pulled by life, by work, by circumstances they never talked about. But hearing him say he misses her feels like someone has opened a window in a room that has been closed for too long. Then he clears his throat, and she hears a shift in his tone, something more serious, something that carries a hint of concern. "I saw an interview you did," he says slowly. "Just a small clip. You seemed, I don't know, sad, not sad in a dramatic way, just tired, like you were carrying something heavy." Her pulse jumps. She wonders how he always manages to notice the things other people miss. She wonders if she should lie, pretend everything is fine, pretend she wasn't just minutes away from revealing the truth that has lived inside her for years. But she can't lie, not to him. "I've been thinking a lot," she says softly, "about the past, about things I didn't say." He stays quiet, listening the way he always does. She can practically feel his attention, steady and full. "Sometimes," she continues, "the truth becomes too heavy to keep inside." His breath catches ever so slightly. She hears it and it shakes her. "Are you okay, Sandra?" he asks gently. "Did something happen?" She closes her eyes, tilts her head back, and takes a slow breath. She has promised herself she would stop hiding. She has promised herself she would speak honestly. But telling him now directly feels like stepping off a cliff without knowing what lies below. "I need to tell you something," she says. "Something important." The silence deepens, and she knows she has his full attention now. She feels the weight of his waiting. "Okay," he says quietly, "I'm listening." She tries to speak, but the words refuse to come. She swallows hard, her throat tight, her heart pounding. This is harder than she expected. She can reveal it to the world, but to him, it feels like exposing a part of herself she's kept locked away for too long. After a long moment, she whispers, "I was going to record something tonight, something honest, something I should have said a long time ago." He draws in a slow breath. "About us?" he asks. The question hits her like a sudden wave. She almost drops the phone. There is no accusation in his voice, no fear, no discomfort, only curiosity, only gentleness. "Yes," she whispers. Another pause. This one feels charged, like electricity humming beneath the surface. "Sandra," he says softly, "you know you can tell me anything." She bites her lip, fighting back the trembling in her chest. She wants to tell him everything. She wants to tell him about the feelings she buried, the moments she replayed, the regrets she carried. But she also feels afraid, afraid of hurting him, afraid of changing something safe and familiar between them. "I don't want to ruin things," she says. "I don't want to make anything strange." His tone softens even more if that's possible. "Nothing you could say would ruin anything," he replies. "I trust you, I always have." His kindness almost breaks her. She feels something warm and painful rise inside her, a mix of relief and longing and fear. But just as she gathers the courage to speak, just as she feels the words forming in her heart, something unexpected happens. A loud knocking echoes through her house. She jumps in her seat. "Hold on," she says quickly. "There's someone at my door." The knocking comes again, louder this time, sharp, urgent. It makes her spine tighten with unease. It is late. No one should be here at this hour. She stands slowly, her heartbeat quickening as she moves toward the hallway. "Sandra," Keanu says, his voice alert now. "Are you okay? Who is it?" "I don't know," she whispers, gripping the phone tighter. "But someone's knocking. It sounds urgent." She reaches the door. The knocking stops suddenly, leaving an eerie silence hanging in the air. She hesitates, then looks through the small glass panel. And her breath catches. Standing outside is someone she never expected to see again. someone from her past, someone who knows a part of the truth she has never spoken aloud, not even to Keanu. "Oh my God," she whispers into the phone, her voice trembling. "Keanu, it's him." Keanu's tone sharpens. "Who? Sandra, what's going on? Who's at your door?" She presses her hand against the door as her heart races. "Someone I hoped I would never see again," she says softly. "And he knows something that could change everything." For a moment, Sandra cannot move. She stands there with her hand resting lightly against the door, her pulse beating so hard that she can feel it in her fingertips. The hallway is dim, the silence heavy, and her breath feels trapped somewhere between fear and disbelief. She had spent years trying to forget this man, trying to bury everything connected to him. She never imagined he would show up again, especially not tonight, especially not at the very moment she was preparing to finally speak the truth she had kept hidden for so long. On the phone, Keanu hears her breathing quicken. His voice shifts instantly into a deeper concern, steady but urgent. "Sandra, tell me who it is," he says softly. "Please talk to me." She swallows hard, her throat dry. Her eyes stay fixed on the shadowy figure outside the glass panel. The porch light reveals just enough for her to recognize him, enough to make her knees weaken. "It's Michael," she whispers. The name feels heavy on her tongue, like something she has not said in years and hoped never to say again. There's a pause on the phone, a long, thoughtful pause. "Michael," Keanu repeats, his tone gentle but confused. "The Michael you told me about once, the one who—" He stops himself, unsure how much he should say, unsure if now is the moment to bring up old pain. "Yes," she whispers, "that Michael." Another silence falls between them, but this one feels different. It carries the weight of memories Sandra shared years ago, memories she almost regretted telling him. She had only mentioned Michael once, in a quiet moment when the two of them sat together between scenes, talking about the past, talking about the mistakes they wished they could erase. She did not give details, not many, but enough. Enough for Keanu to understand that Michael had been someone who left scars that took her a long time to heal from. Enough for him to know that this was not someone who should ever show up unannounced on her doorstep. The knocking returns, 3 sharp hits that make her jump again. The sound echoes through the hall, bouncing off the walls like a warning. "Sandra," Keanu says firmly now, "do not open the door, stay where you are." She grips the phone tighter. "I'm not opening it, but I don't know why he's here." Michael's voice drifts through the door, muffled but unmistakable. It carries a tone she remembers too well, a tone that sounds calm on the surface but hides something restless beneath. "Sandra," he calls out, "please, I need to talk to you, it's important." Her chest tightens. She steps back, putting more distance between herself and the door. Her mind rushes through memories she tried to bury, late-night arguments, moments when she felt small, moments when she felt drained, moments when she realized the relationship had taken pieces of her she never got back. She remembers the day she walked away, the day she promised herself she would never let him into her life again. Why now, she thinks, why tonight? "This doesn't make sense," she whispers. "He doesn't have my address. I changed everything years ago." "Did you tell anyone you were releasing something tonight?" Keanu asks calmly, but she hears the tension beneath his voice. "No," she replies. "No one except my manager, and he wouldn't say anything. I didn't even mention Michael in the recording plan. He shouldn't know any of this." Michael knocks again, louder, more insistent now. "Sandra, please, it's really important. I'm not here to cause trouble." The tone of his voice triggers something inside her. A memory, a familiar pattern. Every time he said he wasn't here to cause trouble, trouble followed anyway. "Keanu," she whispers, "I don't like this." "I know," he answers gently. "I'm here, I'm not going anywhere." She closes her eyes and breathes deeply, grounding herself in the sound of his voice. He has always had that effect on her, a calming presence, steady and warm. Hearing him now makes her feel less alone, less vulnerable. "What should I do?" she asks softly. "Ask him why he's here," Keanu says. "But keep the door locked, don't get too close." She nods, even though he cannot see her. Then she takes a slow step forward, just close enough to speak through the door without raising her voice. "What do you want, Michael?" she calls out, her voice steady but cold. There's a moment of quiet, as if he's deciding what to say. "I came to apologize," he says finally. "I've been thinking a lot lately. I heard some things, I didn't want you to tell the story without hearing me out first." Her stomach drops. "What story?" she asks, even though she already knows. The truth, Michael replies. The truth about us. Keanu inhales sharply on the phone. She hears it clearly, and it sends a shiver down her spine. How does he know? Keanu asks quietly. How does he know you were planning to talk about that? She shakes her head reflexively. I don't know. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't mention his name to anyone. Outside, Michael shifts his weight, and the porch floor creaks. Sandra, he says through the door, his voice softening, I'm not here to fight. I just want to make sure you don't misunderstand what happened. I want a chance to explain. She feels anger rise in her chest, slow and hot. She had spent years healing from the version of explanations he used to give her. Years rebuilding her confidence, her peace, her sense of self. She does not want to hear excuses. She does not want to hear justifications. She does not want to let his voice drag old wounds back into the present. I don't need your explanation, she says sharply. Please leave. Michael stays silent for a moment, then he speaks again. I heard something else too, he says. I heard you're going to talk about Keanu. Her entire body goes still. Keanu's voice tightens. Sandra, what is he talking about? She doesn't answer, because she suddenly realizes what this means. Someone leaked something. Someone told Michael she was planning to speak about her past and her truth. Someone told him she was going to mention feelings she once had for Keanu. And Michael found out before Keanu did. Her heartbeat begins to race again, faster, louder. She feels dizzy with confusion and fear. I think you should let me say what I came to say, Michael continues. Because if you talk about the past without the whole picture, things might get complicated. There is something in his tone, something that sounds less like concern and more like a warning. Sandra steps back again, her hands shaking. She grips the phone tightly against her ear. Keanu, she whispers, this is not good. He knows something he shouldn't know. I don't understand how. Keanu's voice becomes low and protective, the kind of tone he rarely uses, but that appears when he cares deeply. Sandra, lock your doors, keep your phone on. I'm coming over. Her breath catches. Keanu, you don't have to. I'm coming, he says firmly. I'm not letting you deal with this alone. She closes her eyes, overwhelmed by the sudden rush of emotions. Fear, relief, confusion, gratitude. But she doesn't get to answer, because at that exact moment, Michael speaks again from outside. And this time, his words make her blood run cold. I know what you're afraid to tell him, he says softly. And if you don't open this door, I might just tell him myself. Sandra feels the air leave her lungs in a painful rush. Sandra, Keanu asks urgently, what did he say? What's happening? She opens her mouth to speak. But then from outside, Michael whispers one last sentence. A sentence that changes everything. I know the truth you never wanted him to hear. The moment those words leave Michael's mouth, Sandra feels something inside her collapse, like a structure she spent years trying to rebuild has suddenly cracked through the center. She steps back from the door, her heart pounding so hard it feels unsafe. Outside, the porch light flickers slightly, casting shifting shadows across Michael's face. He stands still, too still, like a man who has come with a purpose that he will not leave without fulfilling. She stares at him through the glass, but she cannot bring herself to speak. On the phone, Keanu's voice is sharp now, a mix of fear and frustration. Sandra, he says, talk to me. What did he mean? What truth? She grips the phone so tightly her knuckles ache. She wants to answer him. She wants to explain. She wants to say everything all at once. But her throat closes up, trapped between panic and the weight of the words she has carried for years, words that she has never spoken aloud, not to anyone. The truth she buried was never simple. It was messy, painful, complicated, and tied to moments she wished she could erase. Michael speaks again, his voice calm, controlled, almost gentle. It is the tone he used to use right before he twisted her emotions in ways she could not see until it was too late. You didn't tell him, did you? He says softly. You never told him what happened that night. Her stomach drops, the floor beneath her seems to tilt, and she takes one more step back. What night? Keanu demands, his voice suddenly unsteady. Sandra, what is he talking about? Please tell me. But she cannot speak. She feels like she has been pulled into the past, into a memory she spent years trying to forget. The memory begins on a cold evening long ago at a small private gathering where she had expected nothing unusual. The room had been warm, filled with music and quiet conversations, but she had felt uneasy the entire night. Something had been off. Something had been wrong, And Michael had been there, standing too close, watching her too carefully. She remembers the moment she stepped outside for air, feeling like the room was shrinking. She remembers the way he followed her, how he said he just wanted to talk, how he said he had been drinking and needed her help. She remembers trying to leave, trying to walk away, trying to put space between them. And then she remembers the argument. Not a shouting match, not the kind people imagine. It was the quiet kind, the dangerous kind. The kind where someone tries to twist your words until you question your own memory. She remembers feeling cornered, emotionally overwhelmed, unsure of what the right thing was. She remembers the pressure he put on her to say things she didn't feel, to make promises she didn't want to make, to comfort him when she was the one who needed comfort. But the part she never told anyone, not even Keanu, was what happened after. Something she kept hidden because she feared it would sound too dramatic, too unbelievable, too personal. Something she feared would make people look at her differently. Something she feared would hurt Keanu if he ever learned it involved him. Michael knocks again, gentler this time, like he knows exactly how to dig into her emotions. "I think he deserves to know," he says, "don't you?" Sandra squeezes her eyes shut. Her breath shakes. She feels tears forming but refuses to let them fall. She will not let Michael pull her back into that darkness again. Keanu's voice trembles with worry now. "Sandra, please, I'm on my way, but I need you to talk to me. What is happening right now?" She forces herself to breathe, one slow inhale, one slow exhale. She opens her eyes and stares at the door, at Michael's silhouette, at the past she never fully escaped. "Michael," she says, her voice low but controlled, "I am not doing this with you. Please leave." He presses his hand against the door, his palm flat against the glass, his expression unreadable. "You think avoiding it will make it disappear," he says. "It won't, not now. You're about to tell the world your version of the story, and I won't let you erase me from it." Anger rises in her chest, a slow, burning flame. "Erase you," she snaps. "I've spent years trying to heal from you." Silence. Thick, heavy silence. Keanu whispers her name, but she barely hears him. She is too focused on the man outside her door, the man who left scars she never wanted to revisit. Michael shifts slightly. His voice loses its softness and becomes more direct. "You're not being fair," he says. "You know that night wasn't what you think. You misunderstood everything. You ran away when I needed you the most." She shakes her head, disbelief tightening her jaw. She cannot believe he still sees it that way. She cannot believe he still thinks she was the one who hurt him. She remembers that night clearly, every painful detail, and she remembers the way she cried afterward, the way she questioned herself, the way she wondered if she had made it all up. Until one person, one quiet, unexpected person, helped her see the truth. Keanu. But even he doesn't know the full story. Not the part where she almost told him everything. Not the part where Michael's actions made her doubt whether she deserved gentleness, kindness, or even love. Not the part where she felt guilty for having feelings for someone else while trapped in emotional chaos. She had buried that part deep, too deep for anyone to find. But now Michael is dragging it into the open. "I remember what you said that night," Michael continues. "I remember what you confessed to me. I remember who you said you were thinking about when you should have been thinking about us." She stops breathing. On the phone, Keanu falls silent. Because the implication is clear. Michael knows the truth she never told anyone. The truth that her heart wasn't with Michael that night. The truth that her heart had belonged, quietly and painfully, to someone else. And Michael enjoyed using that against her. "You told me his name," Michael says quietly. "You said you were afraid of how you felt for him. You said it scared you, and you made me believe it was my fault." Sandra's knees weaken. She grips the wall to steady herself. "Stop," she whispers. "Don't do this." But Michael's voice becomes colder now. "If you're going to talk about the past," he says, "then talk about all of it. Tell him you were in love with him while you were with me." The blood rushes loudly in her ears. Her heart feels like it is cracking open. Keanu is completely silent on the phone. She cannot hear him breathing. She cannot hear him move. She cannot tell what he is thinking or feeling, and that terrifies her more than anything Michael has said. "Keanu," she whispers, her voice barely holding together. "Please don't listen to him. He's twisting everything." Finally, after what feels like an eternity, Keanu speaks. His voice is calm. Too calm. And that is what scares her. Sandra, he says softly, is it true? She closes her eyes. Her chest tightens painfully. She feels like she is standing on the edge of a cliff, one step away from falling into a place she may not escape from. She opens her mouth to answer, but Michael speaks again before she can. Don't lie to him, he says. You owe him the truth. Tell him what you said that night. Tell him you were in love with him. Tell him you almost left me for him. Her heart stops. Keanu whispers her name again, barely audible. Sandra, did you love me? His voice trembles with something she cannot name, pain, hope, fear, disbelief, and it cuts straight through her. She wants to tell him everything. She wants to tell him the truth. She wants to tell him that she still thinks about him, that she still feels something she cannot explain, that she never stopped caring, that her silence all these years was not because she didn't feel something, but because she felt too much. But before she can speak, before she can gather the courage to answer the question she has feared for years, something unexpected happens. There is another knock. Not from Michael. From the side door. Another knock echoes through the house, louder, sharper, more urgent. Sandra freezes. Michael turns his head, startled. And from the phone, Keanu's voice tightens instantly. Sandra, he says, who else is there? She doesn't know, but someone else is at her home. Someone knocking at the other entrance. Someone who has chosen this exact moment to appear. She takes one step back, dread spreading through her chest. And then she hears a voice. A different voice. Soft. Familiar. Trembling. Sandra, it's me. Please open the door. She gasps, because she recognizes it instantly. And the person on the other side of the house should not be here either. When Sandra hears the second voice, she feels like the world tilts beneath her feet. For a moment, she thinks she is imagining it. She thinks maybe her fear is tricking her mind, making her hear things that are not real. But then the knock comes again, softer this time, and the voice repeats her name with a trembling warmth she has not heard in years. Sandra, please, I just need to talk to you. She knows that voice. She knows it too well. Her breath leaves her chest in a quiet gasp. No, she whispers, this can't be happening, not tonight. Michael presses his forehead lightly against the glass of the front door, confusion darkening his expression. Clearly, he wasn't expecting anyone else to be here either. The tension on the porch shifts instantly, like the air itself recognizes the danger of two unresolved pasts colliding at the same time. From the phone, Keanu hears everything, the panic in her breathing, the sudden silence, the way she stops speaking altogether. He senses the shift, the presence of another person. Who's there? Keanu asks softly, but his tone carries a tension that pulls at her heart. Sandra, tell me who else is at your house. She doesn't answer right away. She can't. She feels frozen between two doors, two ghosts, two pieces of her past that have collided without warning. Finally, she forces her voice out. It's Ethan, she whispers. Keanu goes silent, and Michael's expression changes instantly, tightening with something like annoyance, something like suspicion. Ethan, Michael repeats sharply. Why is he here? Sandra steps back from the front door, her body tense, her pulse racing. She feels trapped between the past she tried to escape and the truth she was about to reveal. She turns toward the hallway that leads to the side door, her steps slow and careful. Sandra, Keanu says again, steady but troubled, who is Ethan? She closes her eyes for a second. She hates that she never told him about this. She hates that tonight of all nights, everything she hid is spilling over at once. Ethan is, she begins, but her voice cracks. He's someone I used to know, someone who was there during one of the worst moments of my life, someone who tried to help me after Michael. The silence that follows is long and heavy. Keanu breathes in slowly. Someone who helped you, someone close to you. She hesitates. Yes, but it's complicated. How complicated? Keanu asks quietly. She doesn't get the chance to answer. Because Ethan knocks again, his voice cracking with desperation. Sandra, please open the door, he says. I didn't know Michael was here. I didn't come to cause trouble. I heard something and I couldn't stay quiet. Her chest tightens painfully. She knows that tone. Ethan only sounds like that when he's afraid she's in danger, afraid she's slipping back into old wounds, afraid she's letting her past swallow her again. Michael scoffs quietly from outside the front door. Of course he's here, he mutters. He always shows up when he shouldn't. Some things never change. She ignores him and moves slowly toward the side door. Each step feels heavy, like walking through thick water. She stops just short of reaching the handle, keeping a safe distance. "Ethan," she says softly through the door, "why are you here?" His breath catches, she hears it. "I know what Michael is doing," he says. "I know how he twists things, and when I heard what he told people, I couldn't stay away." She freezes. What did he tell people? Ethan hesitates. That he was coming here, that he was going to fix the story before you ruined his life. Her stomach twists. Michael had been talking about her, not just privately, publicly. "Sandra," Keanu says sharply in her ear. "This is getting worse. You need to let me call someone. You need help." "No," she whispers. "No police, no scene. I can handle this." "You shouldn't have to handle it alone," Keanu replies softly. "Not with both of them there." Both of them. She suddenly realizes the dangerous situation she's in. Two men from her past, two different sets of memories, two different emotional storms, and she is standing in the center of all of them. The fear, the tension, the buried truths, the regrets, all swirling around her like a storm she cannot escape. Michael bangs on the front door again, louder this time. "Sandra," he says, his voice tightening, "don't talk to him. He's just trying to confuse you." "Confuse her?" Ethan calls out from the side entrance, raising his voice enough for Michael to hear. "I'm the one trying to protect her from you." "Protect her?" Michael scoffs. "You were always obsessed with her. You made everything worse back then." "Obsessed?" Ethan snaps. "I was the one who picked up the pieces you shattered." The two voices collide from opposite sides of the house, echoing through the walls, filling Sandra's head with memories she does not want to revisit. Keanu remains silent for a long moment, trying to process what he's hearing. Two different men arguing over pain they caused her, pain he didn't know the full depth of. "Sandra," Keanu says finally, very gently, "why didn't you tell me about him? About any of this?" She feels her heart ache. "Because I didn't want you to see me as broken," she whispers. "I didn't want you to think I was a mess. I didn't want you to feel responsible for my past." Keanu's voice softens in a way that makes her eyes sting with sudden tears. "I could never see you that way," he says. "Never." Her breath shakes, but before she can respond, Ethan speaks again. "Sandra," he says urgently, "don't open the door to Michael, please. You don't know what he's capable of tonight." "She doesn't know," Michael snaps. "She knows exactly who I am, and she also knows what she said to me that night. Don't pretend you know something you don't." Their voices rise again, clashing in a toxic dance she never wanted to relive. Sandra presses a hand against her forehead, overwhelmed. "Stop," she says softly, her voice trembling. "Please stop." But neither man hears her. "You manipulated her," Ethan shouts. "You interfered in something you didn't understand," Michael fires back. Sandra feels the walls closing in. And then Keanu whispers quietly, heartbreakingly, "Sandra, were you in love with him too?" She stops breathing, because she knows exactly who he means. He isn't talking about Michael. He isn't talking about Ethan. He's talking about himself. "Keanu," she whispers, her voice breaking, "please don't ask me that right now." But Keanu doesn't respond. His silence is worse than any words. And then, suddenly, everything stops. The front door goes silent. The side door goes silent. Both men stop talking at the exact same time. An eerie quiet settles over the house, heavy and cold. Sandra looks toward the hallway, confused, afraid. "Hello," she calls out softly. No answer. She steps forward carefully. The silence deepens. And then, from the front porch, she hears the unmistakable sound of glass cracking. Slowly, deliberately, someone is breaking in. She gasps, stumbling backward as the sound grows louder. Keanu hears it too. His voice becomes urgent, panicked. "Sandra, get away from the door right now. Do you hear me? Step back, go to another room. Sandra, run." But she can't move, because she suddenly realizes something even worse. It's not clear which door the breaking glass is coming from. Front, side, both. And for the first time tonight, Sandra Bullock feels truly unsafe. Someone is coming inside. Someone who has waited too long. Someone who wants answers. The cracking sound grows louder, sharp and sudden, echoing through the hallway like a warning she cannot ignore. Sandra's heart races. For a moment she cannot tell where the danger is coming from. The glass at the front door trembles. The window near the side entrance rattles. The air fills with a cold, electric tension. She backs up slowly, her hands shaking, the phone pressed tightly against her ear. Sandra, Keanu says, his voice trembling with urgency. You need to move, get somewhere safe. I'm almost there. She forces her legs to move, but they feel heavy, like they are wading through fear that has turned into something physical. She steps away from the doors, heading toward the stairs, toward some place she can hide until she understands what is happening. The house feels bigger, darker, every shadow stretching into something unfamiliar. And then suddenly the sound stops. Complete silence. She freezes at the bottom of the staircase, listening. Not a single footstep, not a voice, not even breath on the other side of the walls. What's happening? Keanu whispers. What do you hear? Before she can answer, a voice breaks the quiet. Michael. Sandra, wait, he calls from the front porch, sounding shocked. It wasn't me. The window, someone threw something. I didn't touch it. Her heart races even faster. Confusion washes through her. If Michael didn't break the window, who did? She turns slowly toward the side entrance and hears Ethan's voice, tense and alarmed. I'm not breaking in either, Ethan calls. I swear someone else is out here. Someone ran past the side gate. Fear spreads cold through Sandra's chest. Her house is surrounded by 3 men from her past and present, Michael at the front, Ethan at the side, Keanu rushing toward her. But someone else, someone completely unknown, may have just tried to access her home. The weight of this realization crushes the air from her lungs. Sandra, Keanu says urgently, I need you to go upstairs right now. Lock the door behind you. She listens. She runs up the stairs as fast as her legs can carry her, each step echoing loudly. She reaches her bedroom, closes the door, and locks it. Her breath comes shaky and uneven. Downstairs, the 2 men outside begin yelling at each other again. But this time their fear is louder than their anger. Did you see who it was? Michael shouts. I saw a shadow, Ethan replies. Someone tall, someone who knew how to move quickly. Sandra holds her phone close. Keanu, she whispers, who else would come here? No one knows I'm talking tonight. No one knows I'm recording. No one should be here. He sighs softly, the worry clear in his voice. Sometimes when people hear a rumor, they follow it. Someone probably spread something. Maybe the media got wind of it. Maybe someone told the wrong person. She feels dizzy. All she wanted was to tell her truth. She never imagined it would pull so many pieces of her past into the same night, like threads snapping all at once. I'm coming in, Keanu says. I'm almost there. She hugs the phone to her ear, her eyes filling with tears she no longer tries to hold back. Keanu, I'm scared. His voice softens, gentle and steady. I know, but you're not alone, not anymore. She sinks onto the edge of her bed, her forehead resting against her hand. For a moment, she closes her eyes and lets herself breathe. Then something shifts outside. A car. A deep engine hum. Someone is leaving. Ethan shouts, there, someone just jumped into a car. Michael yells, I see it too. Blue sedan, license plate, no, it's too dark. The engine roars, the car speeds away. And then silence again. Sandra can barely think. Her mind is spinning with questions she doesn't know how to answer. Sandra, Keanu says, stay where you are, I'm pulling up right now. She hears footsteps, steady, familiar, coming up the front walkway. She hears his voice calling her name from inside the house. Sandra, it's me, I'm here. She runs downstairs this time, not caring about the danger because she knows that voice. She knows that tone. She knows the safety in it. She reaches the living room just as Keanu steps inside. He looks worried, breathless from rushing, his eyes scanning her carefully. When he sees she is okay, his shoulders ease, but only slightly. The tension still lingers in his frame. Are you hurt? He asks softly. She shakes her head and steps closer. No, just scared. He nods gently. I'm here now, you're safe. Those words almost break her. Ethan stands near the side entrance, hands raised as if surrendering. Michael stands further away, leaning back, uncertain of what to do. The conflict outside has quieted, replaced with confusion and fear. Keanu looks at both of them, his jaw tight. He doesn't yell, he never yells, but his presence alone demands answers. "What happened here?" he asks. Ethan speaks first, voice shaking. "Someone else tried to break in. I swear it wasn't me. I just wanted to warn her." Michael nods reluctantly. He's telling the truth. Someone else was here. Keanu turns to Sandra, his expression softening. "What were you going to tell me before all this?" She feels her heart drop again, heavy and exposed. Now the moment she feared most is standing in front of her, simple and quiet, no longer hidden behind chaos or fear. She looks down, unable to meet his eyes at first. "Keanu," she whispers, "I was going to tell the world something, and I was going to tell you something too, something I should have said years ago." He steps closer, calm and patient. "Then tell me now." The room goes silent. Ethan looks away, giving her a moment. Even Michael lowers his gaze, realizing this is something he cannot interfere with. Sandra lifts her eyes slowly. Tears gather in them, but she doesn't hide them this time. "Michael said something earlier," she begins softly, "and he twisted it like he always did, but the part he mentioned, the part about my heart, that part was true." Keanu's breath catches. She continues, "I was lost back then, confused, scared. And in the middle of everything, in the middle of the worst moment of my life, I realized something too powerful to admit out loud." She steps closer. "I cared about you," she says, "more than I understood at the time, and it scared me. I didn't know what to do with those feelings, so I kept them buried. I didn't want to ruin our friendship. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I didn't want to hurt myself again, so I stayed quiet." Keanu's eyes soften with something warm and tender. "Sandra," he whispers. She wipes a tear from her cheek. "Michael tried to use it against me, but the truth is, yes, I loved you, and maybe part of me still does, not in a dramatic way, not in a way that demands anything, just in a quiet way that stayed with me all these years." The room is painfully quiet. Even the air seems to hold still. Keanu steps closer, gently taking her hand. His touch is warm, kind, safe. "I always wondered if you felt something," he says softly, "because I did too." Her heart stops, almost painfully. "You did," she whispers. He nods, "Yes, and I stayed quiet for the same reasons you did. I didn't want to complicate things. I didn't want to make your life harder. I didn't want to risk losing you completely." Their eyes meet. The truth, finally spoken, lies between them, heavy, warm, healing. Ethan clears his throat gently and steps back. "I think you two need a moment," he says with a small, sad smile. I'll go." Michael hesitates, clearly wrestling with his own guilt, his own confusion. He looks at Sandra one last time. "I'm sorry," he says quietly. "For everything, for the pain, for twisting things, I really am." And for the first time, she believes he means it. Not fully, not easily, but enough to let go. "Goodbye, Michael," she says gently. He nods and leaves. Ethan follows with a small wave. The house grows quiet again. Keanu and Sandra stand in the middle of the living room, the chaos fading around them. "So," she whispers, "what now?" He smiles, soft and sincere. "Now," he says, "now we stop hiding." She exhales slowly, relief washing over her like sunlight. They don't kiss. They don't rush. They simply hold hands, two people who have carried too much silence for too long, finally choosing honesty over fear. And in that quiet moment, Sandra knows the truth. Some stories don't end with dramatic music. Some stories end with understanding, with healing, with two people finally choosing kindness, for themselves, for each other, for the future they never allowed themselves to imagine. And as the night settles around them, calm and steady, she feels something she has not felt in years. She feels free.